We're going to talk about genograms and the usefulness of those. And I want to give you kind of an example of how to create a genogram and what you can do with it. So, genogram is just a visual map of the relationships in a family. And there's symbols and different things that you can use to kind of identify different things that maybe have happened or types of relationships. And sort of you can identify some of those intergenerational patterns that might happen in a family. A lot of times it's easy to kind of be in the midst of those family relationships, but when you see it visually represented, sometimes you can start to see some of the patterns of relationships, some of the ways in which maybe conflict or even healthy patterns that are emerging that are great and have been beneficial for your family. So genograms can be something that are quite useful. And if you're a clinician and you're wanting to work with a family, it's always great to draw out a genogram and kind of map relationships. It can be sometimes difficult to kind of track, all right, who's related to who and who's this person in relation to that person. And genograms can help you kind of map that out so you know who the different people are as you're talking with family members as well. So one of the things with a genogram, you want to start if you're doing a genogram for yourself. You want to make sure that you're looking at least three generations. That's kind of what makes a genogram most useful. So you want to look at least three generations. Sometimes four is even better than that. And you start with yourself, kind of if you're doing a genogram for yourself. And so for me, start here with a square. Males are identified with a square in a genogram. And then if it's you, then you would double do that. So for me, then I'm in a relationship. I'm got a wife, and so that relationship is identified that way. And we've got a few kids as well. And so you want to do oldest to youngest, left to right is how you typically will map that out in relationships. And so you've got husband and wife with three kids here as far as the start of the genogram. And then from there, you can begin to look backwards. And this is where it gets interesting because the first time I did a genogram for myself, I had to do a little bit of research on relationships and all of that as well, because you're going to start filling in some detail besides just the connections that are there. So if we start to look at me, mom and the dad here as well, and a sister. And so now we got three generations kind of represented. My kids, this level here. Then my wife also, relationships there that are important to maybe map out. And you can start to see we're just looking at really three generations right now, and it's starting to get a little bit more complex just in the nature of those relationships and how they're connected. And so, you know, you can build in some detail as well. So you can put in the other person, you can put a date of birth in there as well. You can start to fill out if there was a strong relationship or connection, you can identify that with other symbols. So like a double line for a strong connection is if there's conflictual relationships, you can use a squiggly line to represent that as well. But then if you start to go up another level of generation, which if you don't have kids, you will be going up to grandparents at that point. And so if you start to look at grandparents, you will fill out more and more detail on these. And sometimes you have to kind of, as you build them, kind of create them and recreate them as you sort of build those dynamics because they can kind of get bunched up. There's also some resources online where you can build different genograms as well. But you can map out these different relationships. And if someone's deceased, you would put an X there. But there may be conflictual relationships or divorce that occurs in family relationships as well. And so you can denote some of those different things, but what you want to do is start to fill out the details of the relationships as well. It's not just about the connections and that they are connected, but also the relationships and some primary occurrences. There's ways to indicate whether or not there was illness or sickness that impacted someone. Those dates of birth and death, those kinds of things can be something that's quite pivotal in your life and in your family's life as well. And so when someone passes away that you had a strong connection with, how that impacted you. And so really the genogram is a way to visually represent that. It's something that I think is very useful for us as we explore who we are. If we're going to be working with people, we kind of have to do the work to understand our own context and who we are. And this is a great way to kind of start that process as well. So I really encourage you to map out your family, look at that history. You can add some details and timelines, do some research. It can be really enlightening to understand some of the things that may be playing out in your life and where they got started in terms of generations before you as well. So that's a little bit about family genograms and how they can be useful to you.